The Clever Fox and the Camel. Once upon a time, in a vast and beautiful jungle, a clever fox and a kind-hearted camel lived as friends. Though they often traveled together, their nature was very different. The fox was small, cunning, and always looking for ways to trick others, while the camel was large, simple, and honest. One day, as they wandered through the jungle in search of food, they came across a wide and deep river. The fox stopped at the riverbank, hesitating. She was too small to swim across, while the tall camel could easily walk through the water. The fox, always quick to think, turned to the camel and said sweetly, "Dear friend, I know of a wonderful farm on the other side of this river, full of fresh crops and tasty vegetables. If you help me cross the river on your back, I will show you the way to this delicious feast." The camel, being kind and trusting, agreed without a second thought. "Of course, dear fox, climb onto my back, and I will carry you across." The fox eagerly climbed onto the camel's back, making sure she stayed dry. As the camel stepped into the river, the water rose up to his belly, but he walked steadily. The fox sat comfortably, enjoying the ride, while the moonlight reflected off the flowing water. When they reached the other side, they found the farm exactly as the fox had described. Lush green fields stretched before them, filled with ripe vegetables and tall crops. Without wasting a moment, the fox ran ahead and began eating greedily. She stuffed herself with the best food, quickly biting into anything she could find. The camel, on the other hand, ate slowly, enjoying every bite. After a while, the fox's stomach was full, and she started feeling mischievous. She turned to the camel and said with a sly grin, "I have a habit of howling loudly after a good meal." Before the camel could react, the fox stood up and let out a loud, piercing howl. The sound echoed through the farm, waking up the sleeping farmer in the nearby house. The camel panicked. "What are you doing, fox? The farmer will catch us." But the fox only laughed and quickly ran toward the bushes, hiding in the shadows. The farmer, hearing the noise, rushed outside with a big wooden stick. He saw the large camel standing in the middle of his farm, munching on his crops. "A thief!" the farmer shouted. "Catch him!" The poor camel had no time to escape. The farmer and his helpers surrounded him and began beating him with sticks. The camel cried out in pain and, with great difficulty, managed to run away from the farm. Hurt and exhausted, the camel slowly made his way back to the river. When he reached the riverbank, he saw the fox sitting there, looking perfectly dry and innocent. The fox smiled sweetly. "Oh, dear friend, that was quite an adventure. Now please carry me across the river once more." The camel, though still in pain, did not show his anger. Instead, he calmly said, "Of course, dear fox. Climb onto my back." The fox happily jumped onto the camel's back, thinking she had once again outsmarted her friend. As they reached the middle of the river, the camel suddenly stopped. "What happened?" the fox asked nervously. The camel smirked and said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I have a habit of taking a bath after every good meal." Before the fox could react, the camel took a deep plunge into the water. Splash! The fox tumbled into the river, flailing her tiny arms and legs. The strong current pushed her away, and she struggled to swim against it. The camel watched calmly as the fox, now drenched and shivering, barely managed to reach the riverbank. He walked out of the water, smiling, and said, "As you sow, so shall you reap." The fox, too weak to reply, sat on the ground, gasping for breath. She had learned her lesson the hard way.